Hey there, interwebs. I'm hanging out here with my creepy Picard doll that I'm not going to leave in the shop because he's very creepy and he would just be staring at you the whole time. But I would just want to talk to you about something that has honestly been fascinating me because I think it just encapsulates a lot of stuff that I like to talk about. And that is the recent controversy surrounding the Netflix Squid Games reality TV show. For those of you who hadn't heard, there was this big TV show called Squid Games that was on Netflix that was about like a Hunger Games style competition where people literally died within it and they're trying to win a whole bunch of money in society. And it was very much a TV show about like a critique of how capitalism works. Don't listen to Ben Shapiro. It's not about communism. Like quite literally, the show is about systems of capital and how it sort of places people in competition with each other, all trying to get money, and how it causes us to dehumanize each other, and many other complicated things, both just about capitalism generally and about Korea specifically, in the specific history within Korea. There's wonderful videos about how that show is very much specifically about Korean history. So that's what the show was about. And then Netflix decided to go, hey, the show about capitalism that was sort of about the problems within it and using a game show type of narrative to be able to tell that? What if we stripped the meaning behind that and just did the reality show straight? What if we just made a reality show that was that? And on its face, that already fascinated me as a concept because it just goes to show how often capitalist enterprises will strip the meaning of works of art just to regurgitate and sell it back to you. It's why often you'll see anti-capitalist art made by big corporations because they know that a lot of us feel anti-capitalist sentiments, whether we realize it explicitly or not, but we all sort of suffer under it. And so we want to see art reflect these anxieties that we express. This is why things like The Matrix or Squid Games or, and Star Wars Andor, which is anti-fascist, not anti-capitalist, but still made under big corporation Disney, get made, and they do really well in terms of critics and people resonating with them, and often sometimes do well commercially as well. But they do that because they realize that those emotions sell, and then they can sort of take the aesthetic of this thing that we now have an emotional connection for and just sort of like remove the context of that anti-capitalism and just regurgitate back to us and sort of tell us a diluted version of it because they can make more money off of it based off the feelings that they have like generated that we resonate with based on the system itself sort of having caused these feelings in the first place that you're resonating with in the art. So I was already like deeply fascinated about this Squid Games reality show, and I was even thinking about watching it and doing a video on it whenever it releases. But now I'm even more fascinated by it, but also have now emotional, even more ethical issues with it that makes it more complicated about whether or not I'll do a video on it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But that is the fact that there was a recent report that came out that apparently the conditions behind Squid Games, the reality show, were inhumane. Apparently people were incredibly mistreated, treated horribly on the set, were a lot of injuries going on too. People literally, there was someone who quoted that saying that it was inhumane conditions. And Netflix itself tried to hide this fact and tried to obfuscate a lot of it, saying like, "Ooh, we care a lot about our cast and crew, da 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 da." And I'll get into the nitty gritty if I do a video on it, but I just find that so fascinating. Horrible, clearly, like deeply, deeply horrible. And my heart goes out to everyone who worked on that, but it's just sort of like, they just literally did the thing. They literally did a Squid Games. And I at least thought that like they would be smart enough to be like, well, we're just stealing the aesthetic of it. We'll make it safe and it'll just be sort of like a Mr. Beast style like game show thing. And Mr. Beast is his own whole conversation because he did a very similar thing. But at least Mr. Beast didn't seem to mistreat or abuse people on the set of his Squid Game show. He just seemed to fundamentally misunderstand the critique of the show. But like Netflix took it further and they just literally did the Squid Games. They just literally did it for profit, for money. Like it's just like, wow, you've really missed the point. You really missed it. Fascinating. Just deeply, deeply fascinating to me. Anywho, I might do a video on the reality show, but I just needed to talk about it because I just found that fascinating that they just completely missed it and just did a Squid Games. Wow.